The world is lonelier than it ever has been.
It's imitation connection.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So it's about going together, but the question is, how do we do that?
Hey everyone, welcome back to our Good Grief podcast. Today we're talking about grief's silent partner, loneliness.
If you didn't get that, grief's silent partner.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to do that.
It's hard for me to hear, and I'm like right next to you. Hey, and if you are new to the podcast, welcome. If you're returning, great to have you back, family.
So great, yeah.
And if you've been enjoying the podcast and you haven't had a chance yet, we'd love you just to give it a 5-star rating. That would make our time on this couch with these microphones that we say a lot of words into
Totally worth it.
totally worth it. We would do this if one person listened to the podcast, but there's way more than one. So if you could rate it, that'd be amazing. It'd help us spread this good grief message to more people, because God only knows. I wish this existed 12 years ago when I was at rock bottom.
And we had people asking us, I wish I found you sooner, but we weren't around sooner. So
Totally.
here we are doing the thing, and we hope if you rate it, it's going to reach more people.
So we're talking about grief's silent partner. This is a massive one, loneliness, because it's so counterintuitive to the thing that we want, which is our person back. We want them back, and we can't do anything about that. And therefore we retract and avoid and don't answer calls, don't reply to texts, and
Sit in our room, alone.
stay in bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
push people away.
So
It's not good.
No. So we were reflecting on, and we actually had a really cool sort of kind of a celebration or an aha moment just yesterday, which was Sunday. We're usually in church, and our church does things a little bit differently. And so we had 19 people in this lounge room yesterday,
Yes, including 3 bubs.
including 3 bubs, which they were all well behaved.
They are.
So well behaved.
Well-behaved bubs.
And then we kicked everyone out. We're like, all right, party's over.
It was just buzzing, hey?
Yeah,
But it was so beautiful.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But we want to take you down like memory lane, or a walk down memory lane.
Yep.
Because that wasn't the case
3 years ago.
3 years ago, in the height of the lockdowns and the chaos across the world, which was like a global shared grief where you were told to stay inside. You were told you weren't allowed to meet with people, and far out. Man.
Like a different kind of grief that probably no one really had ever experienced on that level.
And it was the first of its kind, where a global collective grief.
Yeah.
You know, tragedies happen, you know, like there's the hurricanes happening over in the States right now, and then there's wars in the Middle East and different, but they are still geographically confined to certain places. This was the first collective grief of its kind. And so we were just reflecting 2020?
Yeah, 2020, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It all began.
Yeah, when we couldn't go to church.
Yeah.
Doors were closed. And then eventually, if you recall, some restrictions lifted and you were allowed to meet with like I don't know how it was.
A small gathering
Yeah.
of people.
In Australia, you were allowed to meet with like 5 people.
Yeah. We had to get passes on our cars and put them on our windscreens to like show where we were from, and that
Across the border.
Yeah, to cross the border, because we live right between 2 states. That to show that we were within the bubble and whatever. It was so crazy.
And so we were very grateful to be invited into our pastor's
Home gathering.
home gathering, which is just a small group of, you know, people from our church in all different areas that gather together.
In different homes.
And so, yeah, we got to spend that 2021 year with him and with Locke and Tara, our pastors.
Under their wing, a bunch of cool people.
And it was just a really blessed time for us to receive
Super wholesome.
and to be loved. And
then
and all the while, our pastor had different plans for us.
pulled us aside. Hey, you two. It's about time you started your own. Get out of here. And we're like, no.
To which I said, I'm never starting a home gathering, because
I've done it for a long time.
I've ran these for over a decade. I've had so many people in my home, in my parents' home.
Yeah, you and me both.
Around the fire. I'm like, I just want to coast. That's all I want.
Just want some chill time.
Freshly married, I just want to coast. But
Please don't call us to our greatness yet.
But like, what personal growth has ever come from coasting?
Yeah, nada.
None.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as coasting and growth.
It just doesn't work.
And so in October 2021, he sent us out and we kicked off our own
We
home
finally
gathering.
agreed.
Yeah, with one other couple. There was 4 of us.
Yeah.
And
He said, I'll make it easy for you. I got someone who'll host.
Steve and Michelle. And we just love them to bits. Steve is Lebanese, and so he is the host with the most.
Yeah.
I mean, anything you want in his house, he's like, "What do you want? I've got drinks, I've got food, I can bake, I can make something. Whatever you want, I got it."
Yeah, just come over. I've got all the goods. Yeah.
And so that first meeting, we actually had communion, and he pulled out his best favorite wine off the shelf.
It was 10 a.m.
And we shared communion together. And that was 3 years ago. Fast forward to yesterday, 3 years later, it's October. And we had 19 people here. And I don't know about you, I just stood back and looked around the room and people were getting prayed for. There was encouragement being shared. There was just
Tears flowing.
There was love. There was hugs,
Yeah.
left, right, and center. And there was lots of food.
Just people
and-
having breakthroughs and making new friendships. And it was so wholesome.
And it's changed and ebbed and flowed over the last 3 years, but we've seen it all.
Yeah. I mean, what's there been? There's been loss of miscarriages. There's been family disputes, breakups. What else?
Loss of career, job loss.
Mm-hmm. Injuries, sicknesses.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen a lot in 3 years, but it's only served as a reminder to how important it is, even when you are facing it and your back's up against the wall and you just feel like crawling into a dark hole, to continue showing up and to put yourself in places where people will love you and care for you.
But also from those things, we've also seen healing, breakthroughs, new friendships. Our community has just grown stronger and deeper and stronger. Like, I can't imagine our group doing all those things individually and getting through
Well, it's
it like
impossible.
we have.
It's impossible. Yeah. Yeah.
Not impossible. I just think it would drag it out and be definitely...
No, I'm going to stand with impossible.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for other people over the last 12 years who have carried and guided me. Mm-hmm. I don't know where the hell I'd be, right?
Okay.
You agree or disagree?
Yeah.
For your own life.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Who knows where I would be if I can vividly look at people at different points in the last 12 years and go, man, that changed the trajectory of my mindset, my life, my emotions or my faith walk. So many different people.
So hard to know, but this podcast might not be happening if it wasn't for
It totally wouldn't
our
be happening.
community and our people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yesterday was a really cool moment to look around and see that. And it made me just think that, your vibe attracts your tribe. And I've been a big believer in that. I really believe that we are the sum of the 5 closest people around us.
Yeah.
They're pouring into us, we're pouring into them. They're giving to us, we're giving to them. We're receiving and sharing ideas. We're being challenged. And so when it comes to your tribe, when it comes to grief, things that'll help you move forward through grief are people, and we've seen this time and time again, people that walk beside you, they're going through a similar loss and similar pain and similar experience. People in front of you who are able to shine a light on the path ahead so you know what your next step looks like. And also people behind you who might be 1 or 2 steps behind. And Proverbs 11:25 says, he who waters others will himself be watered.
And that's just so opposite to loneliness, isn't it? And we know that where loneliness
Grows. Grief flows.
That's it. That was blank in my mind for a second.
Where loneliness grows, grief flows.
Grief flows. Yeah. And you think that pushing people away and whatever is what you want and you want to coast and whatever, but it's so counterintuitive to getting through grief.
Absolutely. And things like the societal mechanism isn't made for community. When we think about Instagram, Facebook, all of the social media platforms where the world is more connected than it ever has been in the history of humanity, more connected. You can connect with someone in an instant, but the world is lonelier than it ever has been. We have to ask ourselves, why is that? Because that mechanism allows you to coast. It encourages coasting. You can replace the word coast with scroll. So when it comes to thinking that you're connected with more people and you're scrolling, you're literally coasting into loneliness. And I can tell you the reason how you know that to be true is because have you ever felt encouraged, lifted up, better after you've scrolled through someone's news feed for 60 minutes and come out the other side?
Absolutely not.
I have, and I feel tired, lethargic, depleted, sometimes depressed based on maybe what I've read or seen. I don't feel uplifted, encouraged, motivated, spiritually nourished.
Sorry, that's what I was meaning. Absolutely not. I do not feel encouraged and lifted up.
No,
yeah.
That's right. And we all know what that feels like. I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, I feel like it's imitation connection. It's like me baking and I go and get imitation coconut essence. It's not real coconut. You just think it's coconut. It doesn't have the fiber and the goodness of coconut. You just get a little bit of flavor and then it's gone. It's like super empty. How's that?
I'm going to back out of that conversation because I ain't the cook in this house. Whatever you cook is delicious. So it must be real.
My analogies come from the kitchen.
That's so good. We need more kitchen analogies.
Okay.
I love that. And
yeah,
it's so true. And, our friend Taki always reminds us of this quote. And it's an African proverb. And he says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think the Africans do it really well.
I think the Africans do it well.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so it's about going together, but the question is, how do we do that? And so if your vibe attracts your tribe, you've got to understand the thing that you're looking for. Are you looking for a community that is spiritually uplifting? Are you looking for a community that makes jokes around different things, and it's a funny community
That brings laughter back into your life?
What sort of community are you actually looking for?
Are you looking for one that lifts you up and is encouraging, or one that's just
shallow,
super shallow?
Yeah, totally.
or about just posting and little few comments and likes? Yeah. What do you think our vibe is?
It's 100% faith-filled. It's loving, it's supportive, it's encouraging, and it's one that says, we've got your back through this whole journey.
100%. And we love to laugh.
Totally.
Like on our call this morning.
Yeah, there was a lot of laughter. So how should we frame this up? We got together some incredible women who have put their hand up to be Good Grief Club captains inside of our community.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that they've got it all together, but they're just willing
None
to
of
say,
us do.
yeah, they're just willing to say, hey, we're going to ride the storms with you through grief. And we asked them a bunch of questions, one being, what annoyed you about your loved one?
Yeah. And it's so good to bring it back. Hey, your mum told us about this. She went to a grief group and she got asked to this exact question. What annoyed you about them? And she was like, oh.
And everyone was like,
scoffs, like, oh,
yeah, they straighten their back up. What do you mean?
What do you mean? I'm not going to.
Nothing annoyed me about them. I just miss them. I love them.
Yeah.
And then
how dare you ask me
the
that?
facilitator just paused for a moment and just said,
well, hang on a second.
I'll have a little bit more of a think about that. And Mum's brain started thinking. And
actually.
Yeah, she said, actually. And she said,
you agreed, didn't you?
I agreed. Yeah. She's like, your dad annoyed me in the way that he ate cashew nuts. And I was like,
of all the things.
and I was like, yes, 100%. That annoyed me as well. And then I rattled off some things. He did this, and Mum said yes. And we were just having a good old laugh about Dad and all the things that he did that annoyed us.
My mum asked a lot of questions.
Did that annoy you?
Well, yeah, you'd come in the door and you're like, you've had a big day, and she just wanted to know everything about your day. And I remember specifically my brothers being like, Mom, stop with the questions. Just like,
There you go.
just, how as you get older, as you go through teens and young 20s, you don't let your parents in on as many details in your life voluntarily. So she had to like draw it out of us. So, yeah.
So it's important, and what my mum learned through that experience was she'd placed Dad on a pedestal and had to remove him from that because he was flawed just like any other father, just like any other husband or man. And I've had to remove him from that pedestal as well because I held him as perfect, but he wasn't.
Yeah. And it's totally cool to remember the good times and absolutely remember their amazing qualities.
Totally.
But it's also a good reminder.
And healthy.
Healthy, absolutely, to think of their
flaws. So back to our call this morning.
And it's funny too. Like it can just bring you, a little laugh and a bit of joy.
So back to our call this morning. You want to share what we're all laughing about?
Oh, which one?
Shout out to Vanessa.
Yes. Oh, yes, Vanessa.
Yeah, we said, pop in something that annoyed you. And Vanessa shared about her mum.
She was trying to share about her mum, and it's like her fingers got tangled and she just couldn't get out the word. And she's like, Mum was telling me not to.
No, Mum, I always got annoyed at Mum talking to stalkers.
Oh, yeah, talking to my stalkers. And we're like, what? Your mum would talk to your stalkers? You had stalkers? She's like, no, stranglers. And we're like, stranglers? What? I think she was trying to say strangers.
She meant to say strangers.
Oh my gosh. Snaggers came out, I think, too. It was just like, she's like, I'm sorry, my fingers aren't working.
So everyone was just losing it laughing.
The littlest things, but I mean, we love to laugh.
And then on one of our boost calls last week, if you don't know what a boost call is, it's an opportunity for our community to get together, get a boost, an uplift in the way that you might feel that day for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And Tanya over in Moldova, we love Tanya.
Yeah.
She was sharing about her dad. And at Christmas time, he would always buy the Christmas tree the day before Christmas, December 24th.
The last minute. And it really annoyed them.
Yeah, and we were like,
why?
Why? What'd you say?
Because he was cheap.
Because he was cheap.
Because they go on sale then.
And honestly, there was not a dry eye. Everyone was, and because they were laughing, everyone was losing it.
And we're like, that could be your tradition now, to just do that.
Buy the Christmas tree.
Because she thought, there's nothing I do to remember him or anything. And we're like,
that could be it.
That's it. You go and buy your tree on the last day.
So good. So there's been
Even if you have to buy two.
So there's been so many moments in the last, few weeks just on our Good Grief Club calls. And it's just good to laugh. There's tears and there's laughter. And that's the way that grief shows up.
Yeah. The community's growing, it's vibing, and it's, so awesome.
But that only happens when you are surrounded by people who create a safe and loving space for you.
And when you lean in. Mm-hmm. The community can be right there, but if you don't lean in, you're not going to receive.
Totally. You can coast or you can lean in. And so it's been such a whirlwind these last few weeks.
It's been a big week.
And it's brought a lot of joy to my soul.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Totally. Feel full. Our cup feels full, I think.
So on this episode, I guess we wanted just to share a couple of those points and maybe as some sort of closing takeaways, that the African proverb to remember that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And so we're always just inviting you to come with us and come together on this journey. And the second thing in Proverbs 11:25, it says, whoever refreshes others will them themselves be refreshed. And so we need to walk with people beside us. We need people in front of us guiding the way, but we also need people behind us that we can water and refresh, as Proverbs says. Because as we've found over the last 12 years, that is the number one area that has helped us grow through and within our grief.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Totally.
And it's like anything in life. When you help other people, you can't help
Be helped.
but be transformed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
And feel good.
What do we got coming up next week?
Yeah, next week we have our workshop with our friend Dr. Gina Cleo.
Yep. Rebuilding your life after loss.
Yes.
Focusing on rewiring the brain after things just get blasted through loss and grief.
Yeah.
We've known Gina for some time. She's been on this couch. She's podcasted with us, and she's just come back from Vietnam, speaking to the Boost Juice
Conference?
Yeah.
Yep.
Franchise owners, and she's speaking at South by Southwest this week, which is just incredible.
So cool.
And then next week she's going to be with us. So if you'd like to join us, we'd love to invite you in. Come do the journey together and experience what it's like to be around people who will laugh with you, who will cry with you, who will pray with you, who will love you and connect you. And you can do that with the link in our description. Or you can go to goodgriefhq.com for all of the details on our Good Grief Club.
Yeah, thanks for being here for this chat. Loneliness grows where grief flows.
Let's make sure that we don't coast. Let's make sure that
No
we lean
coasting.
in, and we're here to love you through it. So until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Big love.